Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. I haven't made a notebooking video in a while because I honestly thought that I covered pretty much everything that I at least have knowledge of for the time being. But as I was actually watching a movie with my kids the other day, I realized something about notebooking that I had never thought about before. Out of all the forms of notebooking that my children do, they really seem to enjoy interest-led notebooking the best. And interest-led notebooking is just a form of notebooking in which I allow my kids to choose whatever they want to learn more about. And they can research that topic in any way that they choose. They can write about it in any way that they choose. The entire format of their notebook is entirely up to them. Now, as I was actually watching a movie with my kids the other day, it actually got the wheels turning in my head because that movie was the perfect example of what I would really like my kids to develop when it comes to notebooking skills. Because up until this point, even though my kids have been allowed to choose their own topics for interest-led notebooking, it always seemed to be, still very schoolish. And if you've been here before, you know that I kind of have an aversion to school, so you're probably surprised to hear that. But just the whole idea of me writing it on the board with my kids, telling them you have to do interest-led notebooking today, and then, printing out the notebooking page for it, and just the whole process of it, while it gave my kids a lot of freedom that a lot of school children might not have, I realized that it's not really what it could be. So the first example that I'm going to talk to you about so that you can understand where I'm headed is if you've seen the movie The Spiderwick Chronicles. That is actually based on a series of books, but I'm going to talk to you about the movie itself today. In that movie, a man named Arthur Spiderwick has discovered that there are a bunch of little creatures, fairies and ogres and such, living around his house. And he becomes absolutely obsessed with this. And he actually starts taking all kinds of notes in this book, which are the Spiderwick Chronicles. And as he is doing this, he is intensely interested in these things around his house, and he's taking all sorts of notes about them. He is drawing sketches of what he sees. He is drawing maps of where to find certain things, and it shows really nice examples in the movie if you would want to watch. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, that is really what I would like my kids' interest-led notebooks to be like. Because if you think about it, Arthur Spiderwick in that movie, no one told him, hey, you have to start researching a topic and you need to do that today. He did this because he had an intense interest in this. And he didn't, even though I love notebooking pages, just the whole process of watching how this was done in the movie, it was amazing because I'm thinking to myself, am I somehow impeding what my kids are doing with interest-led notebooking by making it more schoolish with the printable papers and everything? And I'm not in any way saying don't use notebooking pages, because we will still definitely be using notebooking pages in lots and lots of areas. But what I'm actually thinking about doing with my kids is getting a similar journal, maybe a moleskin journal, something similar to what Arthur Spiderwick used in the movies. Because if you just look at what it's actually like, this isn't, our interest-led notebooks have seemed a little bit contrived, even though I think they're adorable and my kids have learned so much. I don't want them to be contrived. I want learning to be something that is really, really natural for my kids and something that they choose to do on their own. And it isn't part of a school assignment. And moving on from the Spiderwick Chronicles, if you haven't seen that, another great example of what a true interest-led notebook, in my opinion, looks like is if you have seen the movie, I'm a movie buff, so if you have seen the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And Indiana Jones has this little journal that his father has kept over all the years, taking down all of the notes that he can possibly find in his search for the Holy Grail. So if you look through Indiana Jones paging through the book in this movie, you will see very similar things to Arthur Spiderwick's notebook. Now, yeah, Arthur Spiderwick's notebook, it was about fairy tale creatures, and he included specimens in his book of like flower petals and fairy wings, and so of course it's different than the book in Indiana Jones and not the Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade. I'm getting my movies mixed up, but anyway, even in that movie, the journal is completely filled with notes, things that he came across, ideas that he had, brainstorming things, maps that he's drawn, eureka moments. All of these things are recorded in this notebook. And what does this have in common with the notebook from the Spiderwick Chronicles? Passion. He has a passion for this topic. And again, no one told Indiana Jones's father, hey, you need to start keeping this journal. You can pick a topic, but you have to do it. No, he did this because he had such an interest in this area that he started keeping this. And this really was something that he was going to refer back to, as was Arthur Spiderwick. When they were creating these notebooks, it had a purpose, not just a purpose of, Mom is telling me that I have to work in my interest-led notebook today. And they might enjoy it, but it's a different purpose when you yourself are deciding to do it. And when you know that you have an actual end in mind for what you've been working on. And you know what? You are far more likely, or I should say you or your kids. Your kids are far more likely to put more effort into something that they have an end in mind for, something that they have a purpose for. And so that's why I think it's so important to really encourage your kids in the things that they enjoy. Really, try to support their curiosity. And I always say to have, lots of things around your house to support your kids' interests. But this is so important because if you get your kids to love learning, they are far more likely to start doing these type of things on their own. Now, I'm not talking about really young children, because really young children, yes, I say animal notebooking because that's mainly what our interest-led notebooks have been up until this point. But the notebooks that we've been doing so far, the interest-led notebooks, have really served their purpose for my younger children. It has helped them to not hate writing. It has helped them to learn to write down information that they find from books. It has helped them to just practice those writing skills. And it has even let them use their artistic side, because the notebooking pages come with all kinds of, illustration boxes and everything. So up until this point, they have been perfect for my kids. But as I'm watching, examples like this, as I'm seeing examples like this, I'm thinking of really trying to shift that mindset and trying to encourage something more along this line for my older children, maybe for my kids who are in high school. And really, high school is the time that you want them to take control of their education. So, I'm hoping that I can inspire them by pointing this out to them, by saying, hey, look at how into this he was, and look at how he was keeping this information down. And I'm brainstorming with you guys right now because I was really excited when I thought about it, because I don't know how, but it's never crossed my mind before when it comes to notebooking are these two examples. I want my kids to do something that is going to have a use. And one more example actually that I can give to you is not from a movie, believe it or not, but Leonardo da Vinci. If you know anything at all about Leonardo da Vinci, you probably know that he also kept, it was a notebook of sorts, a journal of sorts, and he might have even kept more than one. I'm not even sure. But his notebook as well was just filled. Now, he didn't have like one theme as Arthur Spiderwick did and as in Indiana Jones, just like one theme of the Holy Grail and the fairy world or whatever. Leonardo da Vinci basically kept this notebook as like a place to put all of his brainstorming, to just write down all of the ideas that he had. And so he included, of course, he included sketches, illustrations. He included scientific ideas that he had, because yes, Leonardo da Vinci was not just an artist. He was just everywhere. He was so intelligent, and he had so much knowledge in so many different areas, and his notebook is a perfect example of that. My library actually has a book that is basically a copy of his notebook, and if you have the chance to look at one of those, it's amazing. As I said, it's filled with sketches that he has. It's filled with ideas that he has, scientific ideas, scientific notions. It has sketches and schematics for inventions that he came up with. And again, this notebook that he had was kind of like a brain dump for him, but it wasn't useless. This was something that he used as a springboard for everything that he was passionate about. And again, this is what I want notebooking to be for my kids, my older kids specifically. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys and see your thoughts on it. If you've ever noticed that in these movies, or if you've ever thought about this sort of thing. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram, because YouTube has disabled my comments. So my Instagram link is in the description box below. And if you like my work and would like to support me in any way, you can check out my Patreon page and see what rewards I have for my patrons there. And I hope you have a great day.